So my name is Martin Hewitt. I'm the founder of the Adaptive Grandslam. The project aims to get members of the disabled community into the outdoors on expeditions, doing challenge events. The Great Divide mountain bike route, it's a gravel route from Banff in Alberta in Canada, and it follows the path of the Rocky Mountain Range down through America, and it finishes at a tiny little border crossing in New Mexico called Antelope Wells on the Mexican border.
It's a world first. No disabled team has ever attempted, let alone completed, the Tour Divide. It is the Everest of off-road cycling. It is the hardest thing out there.
We chose to do that because of Stefan van der Kerk.
My name is Stefan van der Kerk, born in South Africa, and then moved to England when I was 15. Ended up joining the military, and 2009 was on active service. I stepped on an improvised explosive device, which kind of changed life a fair bit, having lost both my legs and a few other bits and pieces. But obviously I've always had ambition to do more, and cycling has always been a passion of mine. So I then eventually had the opportunity to be able to combine cycling and obviously maybe a chip on my shoulder to prove something to myself, I don't know. So Martin and the Adaptive Grandslam, we're very much up for doing this and put cycling on the map for the charity. And yeah, so we started planning this thing. It took about 2 years to get the whole thing going.
When Stefan first came to us, with the injuries that he's got, and said that he wants to do it, he's, no disabled person's ever done the whole route, let alone a double amputee. This was a proper route. It's a proper challenge. And when I first met him, it was obvious that he had the strength of character to be able to push himself. He's a nutcase, so my job was to mitigate some of the risk. And one of the challenges I always have is that by the time we get our expedition team together, whatever it is we're doing, whether it's an Everest expedition or a polar trip or the Great Divide, we've got people that are willing to push themselves to a point where the body might break. And that's the challenge that I have. It's making sure that we're mitigating the risk, we're setting them up for success, but we're not allowing themselves to break themselves. And that's a fine balance sometimes.
So tomorrow we head out from Banff, 9 AM to start this epic journey. I hope we haven't underestimated the sheer size and scale of what we're about to do, but we're going to give it a damn good try, and hopefully keep you updated with our progress of success. But really looking forward to it, really excited now we're here, and looking forward to kicking it off tomorrow. So yeah, first cycle complete.
So my name is James Hill. I'm a beneficiary of the Adaptive Grandslam. Sustained multiple gunshot wounds to the legs. So one of the bullets shattered my hip, which has caused a shortening of the right leg, and another bullet hit my left sciatic nerve. So from the knee down has killed everything. So I have drop foot. So I have to wear a carbon brace that just literally keeps my foot up, basically.
My injury, it's called a brachial plexus injury, so my right arm's paralysed. I was shot in Afghanistan, serving in the army, and a bullet went straight through my upper shoulder area, upper chest, and it severed all of the nerves to my right arm, which rendered it paralysed.
Day 3, we're having an amazing day in terms of kilometres, weather, all of it. A lot more ascent, which is great, so we're cruising along. Not to be fooled what's ahead of us, but halfway there now through today, just waiting on Martin. The hard thing with Martin on one arm is when we descend, he really has to take it slow, just because of the dangers falling off and trying to control the bike with one arm. If any of you have ever tried it, I advise you not to, because it's very difficult, and how he does it is beyond me. Tell me what you're feeling.
Oh man, that was hard work. Just so much load going through one arm for so long, constantly on the brakes all the time as well on it, and then all the weight is pushing forward to the front of the handlebars. You're trying to pull your arm back to try and prevent you from going over the handlebars. And add into the mix a bunch of flipping rocks that you then hit. What a treat.
Nearly there.
I had so many technical issues with the bikes. I was falling off the damn thing so much. Cycling on tarmac is one thing, but cycling on gravel routes and mountainous routes with one hand controlling the handlebars is not easy. And so by the time I'd fallen off, I think 7 or 8 times, even in the first 1000k, I think I'd fallen off 7 or 8 times. I was getting annoyed with myself, and I was like, right, I've had too much pain now to not complete this, so I'm doing it.
Oh, yeah, mother.
Cleat just didn't come out again.
You able to sit up? If Billy holds your shoulder.
I don't mind the climbs. Yeah, physically it's hard work, but the risk of me falling off the bike was significantly less than it was on the descent. The hardest parts for me were the descents. Yeah, and that descent coming down from Union Pass. There was one coming down into Steamboat in Colorado, and those 2 descents were just brutal. And the whole way down, I'm just, petrified. You're just waiting for the next fall, because you know that there's a limit on what you can do with one hand on the handlebars, and you know that it's going to come at some point. So you're basically just trying to figure out when's the best point to kill off the speed to hit the floor at a pace that you're less likely to get a broken collarbone. And that's what I was doing for the majority of the descents. 2 of the most beautifully scenic parts of the route, and I was cursing the entire way down because I couldn't enjoy the scenery because I'm just constantly looking in front, sweating with fear of breaking my neck.
Yes! 100% record. Well done, Steph. 9 days in, and today has probably been the hardest day due to the fact that the gravel roads have absolutely been punishing, and that's going up and down the vibrations going through your hands when you're going down, but when you're going up your wheels are bouncing all over the place, so it really has slowed us down.
So initially the idea was to try and do it on a normal bike, and it soon became apparent when we did some of the selection events that for me, obviously I've lost about 3/4 of my legs, just to say. So when I pedal, I only really have my glutes to power and like a bit of my thigh on my right leg, and that lack in power really slows me down. But also when it comes to any form of incline, you're asking a small group of muscles to power roughly the similar sort of weight, once I'm wearing upper settings and stuff. And it just basically, the first multi-day cycling event I did was the King Alfred's cycleway, and it just completely destroyed my stumps as a result. And it took me 3 weeks in a wheelchair just to, pressure sores and all sorts of stuff. So so that was kind of an indicator that perhaps maybe I need to have something that's assisted. But also just to make it realistic, because it's such a long event, and I was so slow on a normal bike that I probably would still be out there now cycling.
As you can hear, I'm a little out of breath. That's because there's only so far you can cycle up due to the gradient of the climb. But the trike it's out of shot now, but he's made mincemeat of this terrain, which is amazing. This is one of the reasons we bought the trike. Steph on the moot wouldn't have been able to get up here, and then walking up this on his prosthetics would have hurt quite a lot. Knowing Steph, he would have done it, but quite challenging stuff.
But then the other side was stump admin, because obviously when you've got heat and you've got sweat and you've got skin breakdown, you've got the infection risk is so much higher. Obviously cramping, just so many issues surrounding the legs that, we didn't really have anything else to go by because no one else has really done it with prosthetics before. So it's almost like we're having to pioneer this in some ways. But the aim is to get to the finish line. So I had to accept the fact that, well, perhaps I ought to take a hand bike as a backup, because at least it means when my legs are like kaput, I can get on a hand bike, or I can maybe alternate between the two.
What I find really admirable in terms of watching them to operate on a day-to-day basis and going through their daily routine is just unreal. People see the hardships of cycling, but actually this is another level. So take cycling out of it, just on a day-to-day routine, what they do and what they have to do to sustain themselves throughout the day is just unreal. And that's really impressive to see. It gives me motivation, to watch them guys work and operate, and then they cycle on top of that. So I couldn't say anything about my bad leg. It was just so impressive. So I just stayed quiet.
Day 10, and it's been a brutal day. You can see behind me how rough the terrain is. We did start off slow, started off midday due to our bikes being serviced, which was great. The guys there did an amazing job, and they're all running like clockwork, really smooth. But the terrain today, there's a trail called Lava Trail, and it was brutal. It looked like a lumberjack had gone mental with a chainsaw, and the boulder field was just, something else. So, having to get the trike up and down, that is, so we're on, off the bike, hike a bike quite a lot for 3 kilometres. Really, really difficult day today, but in a really weird way, enjoyable. And we've had another fall. Luckily, he's all right, banged his elbow, but I believe that's 3-2 to Steph still.
We tried it and it didn't quite work. Should be able to. Let's see.
Hard left there, I think.
When you go into environments where it's challenging and where there's no easy way out, and or in some of the other stuff that we do, if you get it wrong, it's got serious consequences. The teamwork is essential. You've got to get people that are going to understand and respect each other. They understand and respect each other's limitations because of the injuries that they've got, in our teams in particular. But they've got to be able to support each other. You want someone that's going to, when they're tired and they're knackered after a hard day, they're not just going to sort themselves out and I'm all right, Jack. They need someone that's going to be able to ensure that the team get to the start line in good order the next day.
The group started off quite big, but then we ended up with just myself, Jimmy and Martin cycling the route, and then we had Willie and Bill as support for the whole event.
Yeah, so Willie and Bill are support drivers, support staff. We wouldn't have been able to do without them. Literally between the 3 of us, and the safety element again, in terms of the threat of bears and stuff, we needed a vehicle. So having that support element was just golden. So they were able to, literally, Bill was to follow us throughout the whole day, and Willie had the camper van, the RV, and he would set up camp each time, whether it was on a full functioning site or whether it was just along the road. But without them, again, it wouldn't be possible. So Willie, he literally has just retired. I think he's a year out after doing 22 years of service, which is a long time. So spending that amount of time with anybody, 5 to 6 weeks, you learn a few things, and you could see actually mentally, I don't think he minds me saying he was struggling. So actually, even though he was support staff and unbelievable, amazing, he was like the father figure to everyone. I think it was nice for him just to get that break, that 5 weeks of just knowing what you're doing. And it's just having them kind of boundaries and repetition. I think it's good for anybody. So you could see him just growing in himself, the way he was opening up to us. Billy, he was medically injured through back injury.
I was injured in Canada, and then I was, next thing I knew, I was just fastly medically discharged. And I lost a bit of purpose and a little of the camaraderie with the lads. And then when I heard about this challenge, I said, is there any way I can support you and help you? And then they said, we need a support vehicle driver. So I was a driver in the army, so I just transferred my skills over really. So I'm helping out with the support, the feeding, just make sure everything's running as smooth as it can. So when you get medically discharged, you lose that camaraderie, you lose your guys, your friends, and when you go to other jobs, people are a bit more. It's about getting the job done and not having a team or working together. So getting back involved with the AGS, it brings it all back together, and you reconnect through different people. And it doesn't matter where you've done or what you've served. The best part about it is anyone registered disabled can apply, and it doesn't matter what's happened to you, and they'll welcome everyone in, and then everyone slowly gets better. If you see people's progress and stories, it's just outstanding.
Sometimes you can kind of feel lost, and actually what they've done is they've kind of invited you in, you've kind of come on board the family, if it were, and just got stuck in. Adaptive Grandslam are a vehicle, but you have to drive that vehicle. They don't set anyone up for failure. It's a case of they're there to support, and they'll give you the tools to do everything. But ultimately, it's just about getting you out into the environment, and just to encourage people to kind of get out there and do something.
What AGS does is slightly different. It assists rehabilitation through extreme endeavour. There is a literal pathway for a disabled person, whether ex-military or civilian, to get to the top of Everest, or to complete the Tour Divide. Somebody who's just had a stroke, months or years previously, can come on and walk up a hill. I've seen people walking up on hills on crutches. So that's just normal, to see that now. And if they want to push themselves and they enjoy it, they want to do more, and they're surrounded by these superstars of the disabled world who are breaking records, and they can go as far as they want. And within that, you learn a lot about yourself, plus there's a lot of support within the events themselves and then outside. There are a lot of people who give their time voluntary, physiotherapists, psychoanalysts, orthopedic surgeons, doctors, etc. There's all those range of people, as well as corporate sponsors who go on these trips and can assist with vocational opportunities. First of all, you have a brand association, as Olympian does, an elite performance environment. These people are the disabled superstars, but it's still accessible to complete novices, and your company will be associated with that. The second thing is that you've got the chance for your key people to come and participate, get involved, to climb some of the biggest mountains of the world, to attempt some of the toughest off-road cycling challenges. The third thing is there is no donation wasted. If you put £1 in, you're going to get £1 out. If you just give, it's £1 in, £1 out. If you go on an expedition, your money will be helping the guy next to you to be on that trip. It's going to give you inspiration for you and your company. It's going to help put life into perspective. Just seeing people who are far worse off and how they're coping with their difficulties. It's going to keep you humble. We all need to keep humble about how good we think we're doing or how good we think we are. And you're also going to experience that pursuit of excellence.
End of day 29. We did 116 kilometres in the end. Good day. Climb went well. We got caught in a bit of a rainstorm coming down. The surface was pretty wet throughout the day. Put muddy in places as well, so we had to be quite careful. That thunderstorm had a few bits of lightning with it as well, so we had to just sit in the wagon for about 10 minutes for safety reasons, really, until that passed. Luckily, it didn't take long. And then towards the end, that last stretch for me was, out of everything we've done so far, probably the section to forget. There was just so many potholes, obviously all filled with water. I was on a handbike today, and obviously having 3 wheels, there was no way I could avoid them altogether. So it was basically a choice each time of which wheel I'm going to sacrifice and which part of my body I'm going to sacrifice to get wet, whether it's the left-hand side, the right-hand side, or the back of my head. And yeah, whereas obviously on the two-wheel bikes, the guys were just like zigzag, just finding their way through, and off they went. So I had to kind of slow down a little bit.
We passed the halfway yesterday, which is cool. So hopefully after today we'll be under the 2,000 kilometers to go mark, which is cool. But we are, due to England's success in the semi-finals, we're actually going to have Sunday off, which means Saturday, the town we're going to, we're going to hopefully, well I will anyway, get tickets to a rodeo show and watch that, but all good. Yeah, and that was it. We're back in the saddle and off again. So we literally had another 8 days in Colorado, which was pretty cool, pretty epic. Some really good passes here. Marshall's Pass was pretty nice, but Colorado is just a place, it's just unbelievable. And then we went into Indiana Pass, which is the highest point, and that's kind of coming out of Colorado, heading into New Mexico.
Good morning, day 35, and it's getting lighter as we speak, leaving at 6 today. Again, as we said before, due to the heat, because it does pick up here in New Mexico. We're looking forward to it. 5 days, would I say? 5 days left, 601 kilometers to go. And today the plan is to finish in a place called Pie Town, and you know what that means, pie. One of the hardest challenges actually is trying to keep the calorie intake in. So there's been quite a lot of eating on this trip. So I am looking forward to getting home and kind of starving myself for a while. But let's see what today brings.
Pie Town within New Mexico was probably a halfway point to the finish line. So this was amazing. We then, once we hit Pie Town, we obviously had to have a pie. We had a couple of pies and then we literally shut off. Again, we wanted to get to Silver City, which was the last city to stay in. So from Silver City, we had 200 kilometers to go. So we did 130, and these last 2 days were really bliss, to be honest. It was very flat, it was smooth, and the majority of it was pretty much downhill. Really nice going through the desert terrain and just enjoying the weather, enjoying the last couple of days before we hit the finish line, day 39, which was only 70 kilometers on that day.
Now what? Well done, gentlemen, from Banff to Antelope Wells.
So that is it. We have got to the border right here behind us after 39 days of cycling. Can you believe that? What an achievement. All in aid of Adaptive Grandslam, challenging disabilities, just putting ourselves out there, showing people that the stigma behind the word disability, it can be challenged. We can break this stigma. So to be able to cycle 4,350 kilometers across America and a tiny bit of Canada is just so impressive, can I say. Really inspired, really enjoyed it, and I'm glad that we finished and managed to achieve it.
So living with disability does have additional challenges than being able-bodied, and it comes with a few consequences, but often we underestimate what we can do and what we can achieve. We need a bit of help, we need a bit of support, we need to look at our mindset, and we need to be prepared to stretch and grow and take ourselves out of our comfort zone. But if you're willing to do that, and you're fortunate enough to get people around you that will support it, you'd be surprised at what you can achieve.
And I'm hoping that we've proved that, people with various different disabilities, it's not the end of the line. You could still do things, and hopefully we've proved that, with everything in place, that you can do something as big as, the Grand Divide and come out the other side.
It's that mental toughness. It's just not giving up and keep going. You just push your body through the training, through your experience, to know that it can do a lot more than your mind tells you it can do. You just keep going.
I do count myself lucky because of the support network that we have. In the military, we might have compensation, or there might be rehabilitation centres that we can go to. But people that have been born, people that don't have the ability, financial support or the support and rehabilitation, Adaptive Grandslam is open for them. This isn't a military charity or organisation, it's open to all. And I think that's really important that people know that, because we get to see them come on board and see them grow and develop, and that's what it's all about.